have in my hand a Whyte's 5x16 satellite and terrestrial multi-switch. It's available with free delivery directly from freetv.ie. So in front of me I have basically what we receive, and then the other accessories here is, I'm just going to give a quick overview later in the video of exactly how we'd set this up. Typical applications of this is where you want to come along, put in a single satellite dish and be able to give up to 16 satellite feeds with an option indeed of a terrestrial output as well. So you have a single aerial, a single satellite dish, and places where you'd use it would normally be a very large house, large B&B, an apartment block, a small hotel, maybe a nursing home, something like that, you could use it. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about Whyte's and why we've moved over to our multi-switches, and then we're going to come back and look at the product here first of all. So in general, we'll say there's the very high end in multi-switches, which would generally be some of the larger brands and people like Triax, things like that. So they're at the high end of the market, and then you have much cheaper multi-switches as well on the lower end of the market. Now, we've come along and we've gone with Whyte's. So what we did in the past was we would have stopped the high end and the low end and let people decide exactly what we wanted. Whyte's, we've come along and we've standardized completely, and probably the only multi-switch we're going to stock long term on freetv.ie. And it's simply because it's a brilliant product, and their marketing strategy has been this: look at the best product on the market, which normally would be counted as a Triax, come out with a product that's superior to it, better designed, and come out with a price point that's about 25% lower. And that's worked out to be a massively successful marketing strategy. Whyte's themselves have been selling product into the UK market probably since about 2013. It's a UK company, and they now have, at the regions where they're really targeted, they're probably looking at between 70 and 80% of the marketplace. So that just speaks volumes of the fact that all the professional installers have moved over to them simply because they're great products, right? So I'm going to give a little bit of an overview now of the setup, how we'd go about this, and then the particulars of this particular units. So from the satellite side, we'll have a satellite dish mounted outside, and we can either use a quad or a quattro LMB. Both have 4 outputs. Quattros are color coded. They split the signal in 4, vertical and horizontal, high and low, okay? And you run it down and they're color coded here. But the new designs like this can actually use a traditional quad LMB, such as you'd have on your Sky dish, for instance, where you just have 4 outputs, each are doing exactly the same job. You input them here. So you have vertical low, or horizontal low, vertical high, horizontal high. See the color codes. And the center one here is terrestrial. So you might have something like a UHF aerial. All of these cables run directly into it. And then you have a total of 16 outputs. So it's numbered 1 to 15 on the bottom, 2 to 16 on the top. So you just get your F connector, screw them directly in. You'll actually power this directly. So you plug it in here, and there's a power input on the unit itself. So it just screws in like an F connector, and that's exactly how you can power the unit itself. There's a power on and off switch here in terms of the terrestrial end of it with a 12 volt IMIT. And the idea here is that if you have something like a mass and amplifier on the power unit, you can actually come along and power it directly from here. So you can choose to have that turned on or off. So I have a lot of flexibility in it. In terms of the frequency range, one of the big advantages of this, it covers the full UHF spectrum that'll be used for Sairview and Freeview broadcasts in Ireland and the UK, and then it'll cover the full spectrum also for the satellites as well. So it'll work perfectly with any satellite, but particularly we're worried about here in Ireland and the UK with the Astra 2 satellite. So it feed directly in here. Now one of the reasons that people can be slow to stock multi-switches is there's such a multitude of different options with them. There's all the different sizes, whether you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 satellites fed with them. And also there's an idea of cascade. So just say you come along, you put in this satellite system here, and you discover that instead of having 16 apartments like you thought you'd initially be feeding, you're actually going to be feeding, we'll say, 20. And all of a sudden this unit here is obsolete because there's no cascade version on it. You need to change it out. And then do you want to stock cascade versions, all the rest of it? With guys like myself, because multi-switches, particularly in the Irish market, is not a particularly bulk business, covering all the different options is just a pain in the ass. But what Whyte's have done is they've designed a product that's associated with this. I'm just going to mention it quickly because it's so relevant. And this is a splitter. And what happens with this splitter is you just feed the 5 cables in, and you have 4 cables coming out. So imagine we come along, we have 16 TV points, running in an apartment block, they add on an extra 4 apartments, and all of a sudden we're saying, how will we add on extra ones? Well, what you would do is you would just add in this unit before the first multi-switch. You split the signal, you feed it out directly, and then you can connect another multi-switch off the 5 outputs that are on the top. So there's 5 inputs and there's a total of 10 outputs, 5 in the bottom, 5 in the top, and you can come along there. So that splitter means that we won't bother ever stocking cascade versions because simply don't need to, because this is doing exactly that job for us. So I find that just works extremely well for us. It's a really neat solution in terms of how to tackle the problem. So overall, we'll say the return rates and the failure rates that you're going to have with Whyte is exactly 0. It is the best multi-switches that are on the market, best ones we've tested in terms of stability of the signal, etc. There's no noise introduced through it, all the rest of it. They're just super products and a great company to deal with. So this really is the future of multi-switches, I think, in both the Irish and the UK market. It had been a long period of time where there wasn't much demand in the marketplace for multi-switches, but the property boom is back to a certain extent. There's a housing shortage both in Ireland and the UK. An awful lot is going to be apartments, so stuff like this will sell quite well. So that's it anyway, an overview of the Whyte 5x16 satellite and terrestrial multi-switch, available directly from freetv.ie.